If you've wandered through Sydney, cheered at a footy match in Melbourne, or visited an outback bakery, you've likely tried Australia's iconic meat pie. Golden, flaky, and filled with savoury beef, it's more than food. It's a symbol of tradition and national pride. But where did this beloved pastry come from, and why has it endured? Let's dive into the story behind the meat pie, a dish that has captured the hearts and stomachs of millions. Like many great foods, the Australian meat pie has roots in another part of the world. Pies have been a staple in European cuisine for centuries. The ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans all baked variations of pastries stuffed with meats, vegetables, and spices. However, it was the British and Irish settlers who introduced the concept of the handheld meat pie to Australia in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. When the British arrived on Australian shores, they brought their love of hearty, portable meals. At the time, settlers needed practical, filling foods that could be easily made and eaten on the go. The meat pie, small enough to hold in one hand and packed with protein, was the perfect solution. Early Australian bakers took inspiration from British recipes, but adapted them to local tastes and ingredients. Instead of lamb or mutton, which were common in Britain, they began using beef, which was more readily available. And instead of a thick, doughy crust, they crafted a flaky, buttery pastry shell that would later become a signature feature of the Aussie meat pie. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the meat pie had become a common sight in Australian bakeries, pubs, and markets. Bakeries across the country began perfecting their own versions, leading to a friendly competition over who could make the best pie. But it wasn't until the 1920s and 1930s that the meat pie truly skyrocketed in popularity. With industrialization and the rise of pie manufacturers, Aussies could now buy pre-made, mass-produced pies that were cheap, delicious, and widely available. Companies like 4 and 20, founded in 1947, turned the humble meat pie into a national phenomenon, making it a household name across Australia. Soon, the meat pie became the unofficial meal of Australian sports culture. By the mid-20th century, no trip to the footy, Australian rules football, or rugby was complete without a steaming hot pie in hand, often drenched in tomato sauce. It was quick, filling, and, most importantly, uniquely Australian. Today, the Australian meat pie isn't just food. It's a part of national identity. In local eateries and bakeries, where cherished recipes continue to be perfected and passed down through generations, you'll find a sense of history baked into each pie. These bakeries are more than just places to grab a snack. They are community hubs where families and friends meet to share stories and enjoy a delicious piece of Australian heritage. The smell of freshly baked pies wafts through the air, enticing anyone nearby to stop in and grab one of these iconic treats. At major events and celebrations, crowds gather to enjoy this iconic snack. Whether it's a footy match, a cricket game, or a music festival, the meat pie is always a crowd favorite. The familiar sound of the pie being wrapped in foil as vendors hand them out to eager fans is a constant feature of sporting events across the country. The experience of eating a meat pie at a game is a shared tradition, linking fans across generations as they cheer on their teams. In homes across Australia, families share homemade versions, keeping traditions alive. Whether it's a simple beef pie or a more creative version with gourmet ingredients, cooking meat pies at home is a bonding experience. Parents and kids come together in the kitchen, learning how to roll out dough, add the perfect amount of seasoning to the filling, and bake them to golden perfection. The homemade meat pie is more than just a meal. It's a part of family life and a way to share memories over the dinner table. In schools and community spaces, where generations grow up enjoying meat pies as a comforting and familiar treat, the iconic snack plays a central role in Australian childhood. For many, it's a rite of passage, a treat they look forward to, especially after a busy morning of lessons. But perhaps the best thing about the Aussie meat pie is how it brings people together. Whether you're sitting at a bakery counter, standing in a stadium, or gathered around the dinner table, the moment you take that first bite, you're sharing in a tradition that stretches back over a century. The meat pie is a unifying food that crosses borders, bringing people of all ages, backgrounds, and walks of life together. From the first-time meat pie eater to the person who's had hundreds in their lifetime, each bite carries the weight of Australian history and culture. From its British roots to its firm place in Australian culture, the meat pie has stood the test of time. It has fed generations of workers, sports fans, and families. It has evolved from a simple street food to a national icon, bringing warmth, comfort, and nostalgia with every bite. So, next time you sink your teeth into a golden, flaky Aussie meat pie, take a moment to appreciate the history and tradition baked into every delicious mouthful. After all, it's not just food, it's a story, a memory, and a taste of Australia itself. If you want to learn more about interesting food histories, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.